Good afternoon, friends, family, loved ones, enemies, contributors, distractors. This is Kevin Lewis on the Blueprint. And I know I'm starting late today, but it's something that I needed to get off my chest. I guess you could say I'm in my feelings right now for the current events that's taking place. And I was going to just cancel the show. I was having difficulties, but I got to get this off my chest. I got it up and running. And hopefully some of y'all could come back and look at it later and give some input. And we could discuss some things. I see my cousin Nisha showed up. I appreciate you showing up to the Blueprint. And I want to wish all those mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. And to all my Muslim brothers and sisters, I'd like to wish you a Ramadan Mubarak. And getting this started. Today's show is called Purpose. And it's going in lineage and deriving from the show that my daughter did a couple of weeks ago, and it was called Being Born with a Target, Being Born a Target. And then I followed that one up with my son, talking to him. It's called Targeted. So this week show is called Purpose. Now, when my daughter was on, she was talking about being born black, you're born a target, and how prophetic was that when we're looking at what happened with the young brother, Ahmaud Arbery, who was gunned down by Gregory and Travis McMichael in Georgia. So she did her show. I didn't tell her what to do it on. She picked a topic and she was saying born a target, where she was talking about black people in this country and around the world. Being black, you're targeted. And when I spoke with my son and I did basically was interviewing him, I did it purposely because I wanted to go over some things and I wanted to discuss it with him about being a target, being a young black male. Even when you're talented and they want to use your talents, you're still targeted. You know, when they want to use you for what they want to use you for, like he was speaking on when he went to college on a scholarship, the little town that he was in where the college was located, they'd cheer you on while you had that uniform on. But as soon as they see you outside of that stadium or off that court, and they see you at the gas station, they see you at the Walmart or wherever they see you at, then they're pointing at you and they're making derogatory comments. And the same thing is when he went overseas, signed a contract to play in Europe for the HFL. Some of the places, they didn't even want those African-American athletes that was playing for their city. You know, it's not like you're playing for a college. Like you're playing for the city and their league. Some of the places didn't even want those guys to go there and eat or eat inside. They had to get somebody to pick up the food for them. Some places, you know, it was a mixture. You know, some people welcomed them, some people didn't. And this is not just in America, this is around the world. So now the topic of the show, all of this was done with a reason. Once my daughter did her show and launched her show, Born with a Target, I wanted to discuss some things. And I purposely had my son come on and I wanted to bring some things to light. And it's not just if you're an athlete, it's us in this country, period, or around the world. If they can use you for something, if you're deemed essential, then they don't care about putting your life at risk because it comes down to money and they have a purpose. So that's what I want to say or discuss on this show. If I ask you and we were talking and I say, so what's your purpose? Think about what would your answer be? You mean purpose? What you mean? What's my purpose? My purpose in what? But everyone should have a purpose. You know, everyone should have a purpose. And if someone said, well, what's your purpose? You should already have a purpose. If you ever seen anybody that moved with a purpose, that energy is recognizable. You'll see somebody that come into a place, you say, okay, yeah, that person has a purpose. That person is moving with a purpose. That means you're streamlined. You already know what you're there for. When you have kids that go to school, they're at school for a purpose. And when they don't, and if they're not at school with a purpose, then they'll be all over the place. And you'll wonder why their grades are all over the place. And you'll wonder why they're easily distracted. So if I ask somebody, okay, what is your purpose? And if you ask me what my purpose is, I'll tell you flat out what my purpose is. And I will do that. And without even having to think about it, as soon as I thought of this topic or I thought about proposing that, I already knew what my purpose was. So this is what I want to discuss. This is what I want to talk about. And if we define purpose, a purpose is a reason for which something exists, or a reason which something is created. You know, it's a reason, it's a purpose to it. And it's a reason that something exists. That's a purpose. And for centuries, we have philosophers that set up and thought about, ponder, what is the purpose of mankind? Why are we here? What's the purpose of life? Aristotle said he thought the purpose of life was to enjoy and to coexist, to enjoy life and coexist. And if that's what a purpose is for mankind, then in order for that to happen, you would have to get rid of the things that make you, that pose a threat to that existence, that enjoyable existence, that cohesiveness, that, like he said, cohesiveness for mankind. So in order for that to exist, you have to get rid of those things that would hinder you from being cohesive and enjoying life, for that purpose to be there. If you were at a beach and you want to enjoy that beach, but you can't go into the water because there's sharks in the water, you'll have to do one or two things. Either you'll have to relocate, go to a different beach to enjoy that beach life, or you have to get rid of the sharks. That would be your purpose. You have to get rid of whatever is interfering with your joy of life. Now, if we define a purpose or our purpose, first you have to think of the community or the group, like these philosophers say, mankind. Okay, well, we can't. I don't want to get into what's the purpose of life on this planet, but get into the purpose of our community, of our people. What is our purpose? And once you define the purpose of our people, or you look at it at that broad of a stance, then you could come down to your personally having a purpose. This is where you would get your purpose from. You know, you want to see the empowerment of my people, the empowerment, the upliftment of my people. That would be a purpose. Then you set goals derivative off of your purpose. What do you have to do to make that happen? If you don't have a purpose for our people, then you will have a purpose. You do have a purpose by default. If you don't have a purpose for that has our people in mind, then you will have a purpose anyway. You will serve a purpose against our people. And there's many of us that do that. You know, and some of our purposes are created through circumstances. We may have many purposes. We may say, well, you know what, my purpose is as a mom, my purpose as a dad, my purpose as a family member, my purpose as a member of this community. And all of that should line up with your purpose for our community and for our people. Because if you are thinking only as an individual, then you're serving somebody else's purpose. And this is something that we need to reflect on and think about. And first, to do that, we need to look in the mirror. If you never thought about what your purpose is, you need to look in the mirror. And a lot of times when we look at the mirror gives a reflection of ourselves. And a lot of us look in the mirror only to see how good we look, or see what do we need to do to improve our looks. And sometimes you need to look in the mirror to look at ourselves and our people. I'm not talking about as an individual now, but I'm talking about when you reflect on us as a people, the state that we are in. What do we need to do to improve ourselves? Things are ugly for us right now. Whether we want to realize it or not, things are ugly for us right now. If you take an honest look in the mirror at our people, I'm not talking about an individual or individuals here and there. As a people, we own nothing in this place. We own nothing in comparison to what our counterparts own, our oppressors, what they own. We are in a sorry state in this country and around the world, as a matter of fact. We're in a sorry state, and we have to be honest and look around, because the only way you can change things is take an honest look at things and understand where you're at and the problems that's ahead of you and that's before you. Things that's happening around you. You have to be aware. Before you can work things out or begin to work out your issues and problems, you have to recognize your problems. And a lot of times that's going to take for us to look in the mirror and understand where we're at. You know, I remember getting into a discussion with somebody some years back, and I had posted something on social media about the state of the local active groups here in San Antonio, like Black Lives Matter or whatnot. And they were going through a lot of issues and internal issues and bickering, and it was bleeding over on social media. And I addressed it, and somebody came on there that I didn't know, and they said, well, what the hell have you done? I haven't seen you out here. And that person, I guess that person at that time was actively protesting and going to all these events and things like that, something that I had already graduated from. And they were like, I haven't seen you out there. Why are you voicing something and you're not out here getting your hands dirty? And some people that knew me was like, wow, I know the work that you've done. And I appreciate it, just to let that person that was asking me know that, hey, this is somebody that has been out there, has been getting their hands dirty. But as I reflected on what they were asking me, my answer immediately and to myself and honestly was, I have done nothing. I have actually done nothing. Personally, that's how I feel. I have done nothing. Because once you say you're done or what you've done, that means you completed something. And because I have a purpose and my goal is the upliftment of my people, and that upliftment has not happened, then I'm not done, and I haven't done anything. I've tried to do something, and I'm still trying to do something, and I'm trying to find different avenues and venues to make that happen. And it may never happen, but I would not stop trying. So when that person asked me, what have you done? My answer is, I haven't done anything, because I'm not done. And I won't be done until I see what I have a purpose for completed. And that's just how I see things and how I see the outlook of things. You know, we look at what happened with Ahmaud Arbery. What was the purpose behind that? And if you as a black person in this country, a brown person or a minority in this country don't know the purpose behind it, then you are at a sad place and you're blind, because this is not something new. This is something that's been continually happening to us while we were here in this country. There's a pandemic going on. There's an epidemic in our communities, but there's a pandemic around the world. And I'm not talking about COVID-19. I'm talking about the hatred and the bigotry for us. That's the pandemic that's going on, the virus that's going on, the virus that's in this country, the virus that's going on in Europe, the virus around the world. Some of us are infected because we have a hate for ourselves. And we have to recognize what's happening and why it's happening and why we are dying. There's a whole lot of blame to go around. But I also got to look at us. What do we need to do? And how do we need to do it? I'm going to quote something from Stokely Carmichael, and I've quoted this before. He says, if a bigot wants to lynch me, that's his problem. But if he has the power to lynch me, then that's my problem. If he has the power to lynch me, then that's my problem. And if we see that as our problem, and I'm saying as a people, when I'm saying my problem, If they have the power to continually kill us in the streets, whether they being in a blue uniform under the guise of law enforcement, or they're just hillbillies or hicks running around hunting us down and gunning us in cold blood for whatever reason. Music too loud, I'm gonna gun you down. You talking in the movie theater, I'm gonna gun you down. You jogging in my neighborhood, I'm gonna gun you down. You don't put on the turn signal, then you're gonna end up dead. Any excuse that they need, they have the power to lynch us. And that's our problem. We could sit there and point a finger at them all we want, but that's our problem. They have a problem. Since 1526, we have been catching hell in this country. Since we first landed in this country, we have been catching hell. And we've made little to no progress with the hell that we've been catching. Okay, the abolishment of slavery, but we still catching hell and have caught hell after that. We still been getting lynched after that. That progress that we made hasn't stopped them from killing us. And we have to recognize who we're dealing with and what we're dealing with. Now, I'm not saying all white people are this or that. I'm not saying that. But the people that claim that they're good, if you claim that you're good, I don't want you to tell me that. I want you to show me that. If you're a white person in America, or you're a police officer wearing a uniform, and you're trying to tell me that you're one of the good cops, or you're one of the good white people, don't tell me that. Show me that. Because if you want to show me that, then you should be going against your counterparts, those in your community. It shouldn't take us, and you shouldn't be saying, well, I'm with you. No, I want to see you out there. I don't want to see you saying I don't want you saying anything to me. Show me. If you're supposed to be one of the good cops, show me. I don't want you to tell me how I got a black friend or I don't feel this way. Because there's a whole lot of other people that do feel that way. And all those people that claim that they're good, like Desmond Tutu said, if you are neutral in the face of injustice, then you taking the side of the oppressor. You can't tell me you're good and you're not doing anything about that when you're seeing bad that's being done. You can't tell me you're a good cop and you're not using your badge to clean up the criminals that's in your precinct, or speaking out publicly. I don't want you speaking out to me as a friend when you taking your uniform off, or you saying, man, that's a shame. I want you to go out there and publicly tell them that they're wrong. Stand up. Then I don't want you to tell me anything. I want to see it. I want to see your hands dirty. Then you're serving a purpose. I mean, if I look at them, it doesn't really matter. Neutrality in the face of evil is conformity. You're conforming to the issues that's going on. You're being part of it. You're part of the problem if you're not doing anything. And on our side, that's them having the power to lynch us. That's what our issue is. Them wanting to do it and them having the power to do it is our issue. That's my fault, like Stokely Carmichael said. So if we look at our faults, we have to, if that's your fault, my fault, our fault, then we have to look at our faults. Why do somebody else have the power to keep doing the same thing over and over to us? For one thing, we out here marching. When I used to be out there protesting, the reason that I stopped doing that is because I didn't see a purpose in it. I was around a bunch of people that felt the same way that I did, and that felt good. I'm frustrated, you frustrated, sister, you frustrated, brother, you frustrated. Yeah, let's go out here, let's chant, and we're getting all this frustration out. And it didn't stop a damn thing. And at the end of the day, I was like, well, what's the purpose? The leadership behind the marches and the protests, It's like, okay, where do we go from here? It wasn't a purpose behind it. Our only purpose, or I'm going to say it wasn't a meaningful purpose behind it. No other direction, just to say I'm upset. And you think those hillbillies, those rednecks that's gunning us down, those police officers give a damn about whether you upset? You're supposed to be upset, but you're not doing anything about it. I didn't see any goals that was set with a purpose. So I stopped doing it. And I started trying to focus on something else. And stop just trying to protest is not empowering our people. Protesting is not taking away their power. And this is something that we need to look at in ourselves when we look in the mirror. What is our purpose? And if we look at ourselves and I said, well, you know, one thing, we upset. A lot of us will say, well, you know, I'm going to go jogging. Just show my frustration. Because Ahmaud was murdered in cold blood. Now, he was murdered on February the 23rd. I don't even know if my video is still going. I'm just saying it's saying something about they having trouble playing this video. But I'm going to keep going. And if I got to start it over, I'm going to do that. Because this is what's been happening all day, and this is why I'm starting late. But if any of us are saying, well, you know what, I'm going to go jogging, and we hashtagging, putting Ahmaud name, Arbery, and hashtags and all this stuff like this. When Trayvon is killed, we go buy Skittles and we sit out there and we complain. That's fine. But it's not serving a purpose. Or it's not even serving a good purpose. Because they're still doing the same things. I'm going to read a comment from Aisha. She said, my so-called white friends got real quiet when I posted about injustice of black people. I called them out on it, and that's what we should do. We call them out. Those people that claim that, well, it's not me or it's them, but then you should be helping us. That's what our problem is. Part of what our problem is. But we want to post names of Ahmaud, and we want to say, never forget Sandra. You know, we want to talk about Tamir. We want to talk about all these people. Never forget or whatever, but we keep forgetting. And going back doing the same thing when it happens again and again, because it's going to keep happening again and again until we change things. And we got to change things within ourselves first. Because, see, the issue is we got a respect problem in this country. We have a hate problem in this country. And I can't do anything about how they feel about us. I care less about how they feel about us. That's their problem. But when they have the power to use that hate and gun us down in cold blood in the middle of the day, February 23rd, Ahmaud lost his life. They just arrested the culprits on the 8th of this month, the 7th of this month. 2.5 months after gunning him down, they were arrested. When you see them arrest us immediately, without evidence or without good evidence. How many times do we need to see this happening before we understand there's a purpose in all of this that's happening to us? And until we change our purpose, it's going to continue to happen. We have to empower ourselves. Marcus Garvey said, if you have no confidence in yourself, you're twice defeated. Because you're defeated within yourself, and then you're being defeated by them. This is where our problem needs to start to be corrected. When we're looking in the mirror, we need to feel power. When our kids are looking in the mirror, they need to feel black power. A lot of times, many of us are already twice defeated. We have no love for ourselves. When you have a love for yourself, it's harder for you to gun somebody that looks like yourself down. And I don't mean yourself as being like Kevin or this person or that person. I mean the love for yourself and who you are and your people. That's one of our main issues in our communities with our young people. We quick to tear each other down. We quick to gun each other down because we don't have the love for ourselves. We have to start having the love. If you're a fruit on a tree and you only love yourself and you don't love that tree that bears you, then you don't love any other fruit that came from that tree. But if you're an apple and you love the way you are and who you are and where you came from, you love the limb that produced you, you love that tree that keeps producing your kind, and you love your roots and you understand that there's roots up under there, up under the tree that produced you, then you'll have a whole different mindset of the other fruit. You'll have a pride and you won't be twice defeated. This is what one of our main issues are. We are twice defeated. They're defeating us and we're defeating ourselves. And when I'm saying defeating ourselves, I mean we're producing fruit that don't love his tree, don't love his people. Because if you actually loved your people, and there's many of us that say, well, I love black people, I love my people, I love African this and that, but you'll sit there and watch an African person be gunned down and you won't do a damn thing about it. What kind of love is that? You sit there and watch a sister be pulled over by the police and beat like she's a man. Where's the love at? Because if I love something, I'm not going to let that happen. If I love something, I'm not going to let that happen. But there's something going on. We want somebody else to respect us, but we don't have respect for ourselves. We constantly, if they look at us and we have no respect for ourselves, we have no respect for our community, we have no respect for our brothers and sisters, then who the hell are we to ask somebody else to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? We don't respect ourselves enough to patronize our own businesses, to build our own people up. We don't respect ourselves enough to, when we see a brother getting gunned down, we should be down there. Them people should be scared, but they not, because all we do is march. All we do is protest. All we do is go to social media and say, ain't this a shame? You see what they did. That's not love. That's not love. And we need to show some love and respect for ourselves. So that's what we need to be embedding in our kids' mind, the next generation. Because somewhere it's failed. Somewhere all of this has failed. You know, when something happens and they say, when you were a kid, or a kid comes to you and they say, so-and-so hit me in the face with a ball and they crying and blah, 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 whatever. And that kid said, well, I didn't do it on purpose. So if you didn't do it on purpose, then what they say? Well, he didn't mean it. It was an accident. And our people are walking around like an accident that's waiting to happen because we don't have a purpose. When you don't do something on purpose, then it's done by accident or a mistake. And any success that we get is given to us by somebody else. Because they don't mind you. None of us own our own businesses or stores or whatever. Very few of us do. We don't own any corporations. Part of our generational gap is we don't have any generational wealth. The generation before us didn't pass anything along to us. The generation before that didn't pass anything along to them. Not anything that's standing. Not anything that's substantial. We're not building towards anything. A person will open something up over here. Somebody else will open something up over there. It's not building to be a major corporation where you could go and employ your own. I don't have anything that I could pass on to my kids as far as a business. And that's on me. And if you don't either, then you need to serve a purpose and say, you know what, things got to change. Somewhere along the line, this generation that didn't get anything from the previous generation, that didn't get anything from the generation before that, that's got to change, because then we got to start, get behind some of these young people and help them gain some wealth with their ideas, instead of pushing them to do the same thing that we did, because the generation before us pushed us to do the same thing that they did. There's a gap, and it shouldn't be a gap. It should be bridges. And I'm not talking about fashion. I'm not talking about their music is different. I don't care. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm talking about it's no building. We didn't get anything from the generation before us, the parenting generation before us. And I'm not knocking any of them people, any of our parents, because they didn't get anything from and it hasn't been learned. It hasn't been taught. And at one point we have to realize we keep empowering those that want to oppress us because we don't have any power. If you're not going to get any power within yourself, then you're giving your power away and you're empowering somebody else. Like I said, if you don't have a purpose, then you're serving a purpose one way or another. You're serving a purpose for those that hate you. You're empowering them. You're benefiting them. And if you're all about yourself by yourself, you can do nothing. You can do nothing for our people. You can do nothing for our people, and then you're a disservice to us. Now, I'm not talking about individual success. Your individual success could mean nothing. It could do nothing for the community. We have to change our mindset. We have young people that have ideas, that's innovative, that envision things. We need to get behind their vision. We need to support their visions and implore them to get out and own things on their own. Something that didn't happen with us. Something that didn't happen with our parents. Something that didn't happen with our grandparents. And I don't mean just get a store so you could be a boss and you don't have to go work for somebody. Get something that you can develop generations down the line. That mindset. That's what we need to put into people, into our youth. We need to support them. Like I said, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in my feelings, but I'm pissed, and it's just current events, and I'm looking for the purpose. You know, a purpose in us. We gotta have a purpose. If you finish watching this, just think about, what is your purpose? And if you don't really have one, then get a purpose. If your purpose is going to be to support somebody that's younger than you, that has some kind of innovative ideas, do that. Once we are older, we're more settled. The people with all the ideas don't have the money. The people with the money don't have the ideas. Many of us don't have any idea how to get ourselves out of the bind that we are in as a people. It's not going to the court system. I sit up and I listen and I get all these damn messages about conspiracies on this coronavirus stuff, and everybody have all these conspiracies. Do you know what it means to conspire? Do you know what the definition is to conspire? That's when you collaborate to do something unlawful or harmful. That's what a conspiracy is. That's what it means to conspire. They have been conspiring to do things that's unlawful. They have put themselves in a position to be in the police force and to be on the benches, the judicial system, to do unlawful things to us. We need to start conspiring instead of sitting up telling me about all these conspiracies about how you think the COVID came along or what you think it is. And I don't care about that. I got a different purpose, because I'm in my mind, when people approach me with the BS, I'm saying, so what's the purpose? What do you think we should do if you think this is a conspiracy? But my thing is, I don't really care. Conspire with me to to be harmful towards the system that's out here lynching us. We got to have some kind of collaboration to do something harmful to the system the systemic racism that's going on in this country. That's the conspiracy I want to hear about. What are we going to do together to combat or to harm the bigotry that's and the pandemic that's around this world, the epidemic that's in this country, the one that's detrimental to us? That's what I want to harm. I want to harm their power to lynch me. I want to harm their power to lynch us. And we need to wake the hell up and come up with a purpose. Since December, some of these leaders been sitting up here talking about November. Since January, they've been sitting up here talking about November. We here dying in February. And you're going to tell Ahmaud, well, hey, you know what? We need to change things in November. He didn't live to see frickin' November. I want to know what you want to do right now. We can handle November when November gets here. What do you plan to do now? We need to get together and decide what the hell we want to do now. We need to get together and pool our dollars and cents together and make something happen. And if I do work for somebody, if I work for a corporation, then I need to have some money and I need to be willing to help some of these young people so that they don't have to follow in our footsteps. They don't have to go work for the hospital. They don't have to go work for the cable company. They don't have to go work for the water company. Okay, yeah, that's nice money for me right now. But what good is that if it's not serving a purpose for our people and our empowerment? It does nothing. It's not going to stop anything. When we start getting together and discussing things that's going to actually make some movement, some motivation. That's what motivation is. Motivation is movement. You try to inspire these youth. You don't have to do this. You could do more than this. I'm doing this right now, and hopefully so you don't have to do this. Because it's important that they do something else than what we have been doing and what we've been shown to do. Because what we're doing is not giving our people any power. Going to work for somebody else is not giving our people any power. It's great that you have a skill set. It's great that you're a nurse. It's great that you're a technician. It's great for whatever you're doing. But try to figure out a way to open up your own clinics. We as black people, I don't even know one black hospital in this country. We have some of the finest nurses and doctors any school has produced, but we don't know how to doctor our own. And I'm not talking about a clinic here, a clinic there. I'm talking about something that we could build something on, that we can inspire our youth to get behind and say, yeah, I want to be a doctor so I could work at this hospital that's in the black side of town. If I look at just Jewish hospitals out there, why don't we have black hospitals? Everybody has a mindset when they come to this country as immigrants. The first thing they do is they look for people that talk the same, that speak the same language that they speak. The first thing they do, they go find where all their people are so they can feel comfortable. It's comfort in numbers. People that look like me and think like me and speak like me have my type of ideas. As soon as we learn how to do something and we get a skill set, we're getting away from each other. We'll never have any power like that. And if you've been down that road, then you're already down that road. But try to change that. Try to change where we're at. Try to have a purpose. Try to do something. Like I said, a lot of us are using Ahmaud's name right now. But if you saw that brother walking down the street, if you saw that brother jogging down the street before he was murdered, you wouldn't even say hi. You wouldn't even speak to him. You wouldn't even say, hey, what's up, brother? Many of us, we see each other and don't even greet each other. Don't even acknowledge each other. That's the first sign of respect. People talk about when you come in my house, you need to speak to me. That's respect. These kids don't have no respect. When we out in public, we don't speak to each other. Only time we want to acknowledge each other is when we way on the other side of town. There's nobody there that looks like us. Then we're looking for familiar faces. And we want to say, hey, that should be normal for us. We wonder why this person, if you go out your way to speak to people, that's the beginning of something. That's the beginning. That's just saying, I acknowledge you. But only time we want to mention people's names is after they've been crucified, after they've been lynched. Tamir Rice, I would have said, if I'd have saw that young brother, every time I see a young brother, I say, hey, what's up, little man? I go out my way to speak to him to show that I acknowledge him. How you doing, sister? I show that I acknowledge you. Not just because I'm trying to holler at you or whatever. It's just that I acknowledge you. We got a long way to go. And our purpose should be to get there. The first thing you should do is recognize each other when you see each other. Speak to each other. Greet each other. We have a lot of issues that we need to rectify. Have a purpose in what we're doing. Set our goals to what we need to do. And when people come to us with all this BS about November, ask them what you want to do today. How are we doing something now? What are we doing for our kids right now? Biden is not going to do a damn thing to stop people from gunning us down. It doesn't matter if you speak about it after it's done. If that was my son, if that was your daughter, if that was your son, nothing they do to those people that gunned them down is going to bring that person back. We got to start doing things so they're going to not gun the next person down. Or they're going to think twice about doing it. The hell with their neighborhoods. We got to make it to where they come to our community, they got to deal with us. Instead of us being out in their communities. We got to change our purpose. If you're not changing your purpose, you're serving a purpose. Because one thing that this world will show you, I don't care if you're talking about the animal kingdom or whatever. People, they respect power. People respect power. So our purpose should be to gain power because we get no respect around the world. We get no respect. And that's something that we need to change. That should be our purpose. Empowerment of ourselves. The generational gap that exists, we got to build a bridge over that. We got to support our young people in a way that they don't have to go through the same roads that we've been through. That should be our purpose for the next generation, because that didn't happen with us. Somewhere along the line, we got to build that bridge and not have a gap. They don't have a generational gap issue. They have wealth that they're passing down to the next generation. There are people that's in power, and they're passing that power down to the next generation. If you don't believe it, look at the 60s. Look at the 50s. You're going to see incidences where we were being lynched, begging for freedom, asking for freedom. You look at the 70s, the same damn thing going on. You look at the 80s, the 90s, and all the way up to now. The same damn thing. And it's not the same people that's doing it. It's the next generation. This is what our problem is. We have to solve that problem. You can't solve a problem without a purpose. Now, we used to listen to those people talking about black nationalism, black separatism, and we used to look at them like they was crazy. But what you have to do is conspire to do that. Black nationalism today doesn't mean what it meant in the 60s. They probably had the right idea, but we are embedded in this country, interwoven in the fabric of this country. But what you need to be teaching your youth, our youth, not your youth, our youth, is that they need to get some type of black nationalism going. They need to have a separate mindset, even separate from what we did and how we were trying to do things. Because what we've been doing haven't empowered us. It's made for some successful individuals, but there's no black powerful communities out there. Where every time you turn around, you could go to a black auto mechanic and turn this corner and go to a black grocery store and turn that corner and go to a black hospital. And go up the street to a black school and graduate and go to a black university. We have institutions of higher learning, but we don't funnel our kids to do that, to go there. So those institutions are not in power. We have to change our purpose and change the way we go about doing things. And until that happens, we're going to keep reliving these same incidents over and over and keep doing the same thing about these incidents that's happening over and over. And all we're going to do is say, well, I'm going to march about it. I'm going to protest about it. Nobody's boycotting. Nobody's making anybody feel anything. We just keep doing the same thing. Insanity. Stop the madness. It's okay. You're mad, then do something about it. You don't have any ideas, then get behind somebody that do and support them people that do. It's not about us right now. It's about our future. I may die before we get any power in our people. Real power in our people. But at least that ball got to start rolling. That wheel has got to be rolling. Just generation coming up, they may not be the ones, but we have to implant that in their minds to be bosses, to empower ourselves, to do something about what the hell is happening instead of complaining. Social media is not doing anything for us. As far as I'm concerned, let's just talk. And we got to stop talking. We got to start walking the walk and walking a different walk than we've walked in the past 5 or 6 generations. We've had great leaders. We still have some great leaders, but we got to do something different. Kevin Lewis on the Blueprint. I appreciate all the comments. I don't know if the video was on. I'm guessing the audio is still on, but peace. And y'all have a great weekend, great Mother's Day.